We have a quote from Geurschon Yabusele that we got to talk about because, it's been a topic of discussion for Sixers fans for a while now on, can the 76ers bring back Geurschon Yabusele? Will he test free agency? Will he take whoever gives him the most money? I've kind of had the same take the whole time, which is he took a gamble on himself coming over here from the Euro League. It cost him $900,000 around there out of his pocket to get out of his contract in Real Madrid to even come back to the NBA, and he signed for a minimum. So it's in his best interest to get a payday, obviously. And here is the quote from Geurschon Yabusele on an interview by Cairo Asio of Hoops Hype. He said they asked him, the Sixers want to re-sign you. What factors will decide if you stay or return to... Well, wait, what? What factors will decide if you stay or return to Europe? Did he actually ask him that? I didn't even...
I guess.
That's the first time I actually read the question. He's not going back to Europe, dipshit. What are you talking about? Okay. What factors will decide if you stay or return? I feel like they typed that wrong. That can't be the question. But anyway, here's what he said. We will see those options also with the upcoming summer when we're going to know a little bit of what's going on. I know the Sixers are going to look to change some pieces in the roster, so you have to wait also to see what's going to happen. But the draft's going to set everything pretty much up for every team to know where they're going with the trades and stuff like that. I guess we'll see soon, but I'm pretty excited. It's going to be my first time really enjoying free agency, especially in the NBA, aka it's going to be my first time looking at a lot of money. It's going to be my first time really enjoying free agency, especially in the NBA. I'm pretty excited to hear the offers, to see what's going on, to see the movement. Yeah, Geurschon's up out of here, bro.
He's gone, bro. He is so gone. I mean, like, I am by no means necessarily an NBA cap expert. And I think like there are some scenarios where the Sixers can actually manage to get Yabu back. But for how impressive he was this season, given that the Sixers were a complete joke, you know what I mean? No reason to really try whatsoever with all the injuries, all the stupid coaching decisions, all the, just the roster construction being so brain dead. Like, for Yabu to go out there the entire season, really just play his ass off, man. Like, for real. Like, he was going out there every single night, giving it his all, and, being a really productive role player. And I think what stood out to everybody the most, or the biggest question for him, was if he was willing or had the ability to space the floor. Because when he was coming to the league, he was just, really raw, like had that athleticism, but, really didn't come into his own yet until he came back. And now he's a really good stretch four. And the Sixers, they could use him to come back, especially, if they want to compete further and, try and make a run at a championship. But this all reminds me of Nico Batum, man. I think it's too good to be true. I mean, Nico Batum, yeah, he didn't put up the counting stats, but everyone who watched the game, we know that like he is one of the best role players Joel Embiid ever played with, by far. Just his IQ, his ability to see the floor, get to his positions, anticipate passes and stuff like that. He was a really smart defender, kind of like sneaky athletic too. And that shooting form of his, just buttery smooth, one of the most beautiful shot forms I've ever seen. And Embiid was like, "Yo, you're gonna come back here." And then he goes dip. He was like, "Nah, dude, I'm going back to LA." And I feel like with Yabu, it's kind of like the same thing. In fact, let's not forget that Nico Batum, he actually put in a good word to Yabu about Philly. And it seems like Yabu really does like Philly, but at the end of the day, it is a business, and he is a really attractive player.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. The first thing is just how hard he plays, man. You're absolutely right. There was no real reason for anybody to go out there and give 150,000% like that guy did. Diving on the fourth quarter, down by 49 points, still diving out of bounds, still just hustling, and just a guy that just played with a chip on his shoulder, man. And like after years of watching guys that didn't have a chip on their shoulder because they were either paid in the shade or they just never cared anyway. It was so nice to see guys like that on this team just give 100% every time they're on the floor. So I love that about Yabusele. You're absolutely right. His shooting was a surprise for everyone. I had been saying leading up to the season that he was a 40% three-point shooter in the EuroLeague, but everybody was kind of just watching his old NBA highlights, his 2019 Celtics tenure, and he looked more like just a backup center at the time when he was on Boston. Looks like a completely different player now. And yeah, he stretched the floor just at a 40% three-point shooting. I loved his effort, and I would love for him to come back also. I don't really know what he's worth. You know what I mean? I don't know what teams are going to offer him. His numbers aren't crazy. It depends how closely teams really watched him on the Sixers and how they scouted him. I also hope that Nick Nurse's play of him didn't kind of hurt his free agency, because Nick Nurse put him in situations that might have made him look a lot worse than he actually is, especially defensively.
A center. He's a center. I mean,
He's
but the fact that
6'8" center.
Yeah, the fact that he was so well received by Philly fans despite being in the worst situation. Imagine how beloved he would be, if the Sixers were actually competing and he could just play his role. But yeah, I mean, for what I've heard, given the scenarios of re-signing him, it all comes down to managing the mid-level exception. But I don't think that's going to be enough to re-sign him when you have all these other teams who might have a little bit more cap flexibility and are looking to add some more depth, especially when it comes to a gritty guy who can, dive for loose balls, shoot, drive to the basket from time to time. I mean, Yabu, he's like a bulky guy, but he's still super athletic, can really slam the ball, and he just does a lot of the dirty work for your team, and that's something that's really valuable, especially to a lot of playoff contenders.
Yeah, so the non-taxpayer mid-level exception this year is $14 million. And I feel like he's right around there. I don't think he's going to get 20 plus. You know what I mean? Yeah. But the Sixers also have to look at Quentin Grimes, and if they want to re-sign him. Also, the number 3 pick in the draft is automatically an $11 million player. There's that too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's a lot that goes into figuring out how much you can offer Geurschon Yabusele. But ultimately, I don't feel like it's going to be 14, and I feel like he's probably going to get offered more than that. He's probably going to, skedaddle.
Yeah, I thought the mid-level was I thought that was lower than that. I didn't know it was 14. I mean, yeah, 14, 15, that is sort of in his range. But if he's I think a team will offer him a more lucrative contract, because I think he was just that. I don't think teams really. I think he really met expectations or past expectations.
Now, on the other side of it, I'm not super upset if he walks away. I loved what he did. I love that he plays hard. I liked watching him play, but also for me, he doesn't really check boxes of the Sixers' top needs, which is rebounding and interior defense. He's not really much of a rebounder. He's not really much of a defender. So I don't think it's the end of the world if he goes. I know Sixers fans are going to be sad to see him go, but there's also that. Will the Sixers pay him that money? But also, should they actually be interested in looking elsewhere anyway, because their main issues are something that he's not that great at. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, but I mean, you could always use that floor spacing, and we don't really know the full outlook just yet if there are any other options at power forward that they are looking at, because the power forward position, that has always been such a huge need for them. Just the lack of rebounding, just the lack of size and any sort of leaping ability whatsoever. The Sixers just have not had that. And yeah, Yabu is, 6'8", but I feel like if the Sixers, if they could find any other alternatives, sure, but I kind of do agree. He's not I'm not going to say a must-keep player, but I mean, he's a nice player to have for sure. But I think there are a lot of other needs the Sixers need to address first before sort of kind of filling in those pieces what Yabu gives you.
Yeah, so Za says some teams will offer him 8.5. We can only offer 5.7. So the Sixers are the taxpayer mid-level exception at the 5.7, not the non-taxpayer mid-level exception at 14 million. I mean, but also, Josh Harris is known to be the luxury tax duck. So he always tries to get under the luxury tax. But yeah, if the Sixers are at 5.7, then I definitely think he's going to get more than that.
For sure.
And he's going to take every dollar he can get. He doesn't, a lot of people do the whole, like, what if he wants to be loyal because he appreciates that they took a chance on him? And I'm like, nah, he's getting his money, man.
Yeah, I mean, after being kicked out of the NBA or, being cut and for that long, and then you come all the way back and you have a really good season, just completely surpass expectations. Of course, you're going to try and get that bag. And I wish, I wish the Sixers would have a better cap situation, but I just think realistically he's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, they had a good cap situation. It's like it lasted about 6 days, and then they went and did it again, and now 93% of their cap is 3 players. Once again, the prowess of the legendary Daryl Morey. Davon, see if we can get Jake LaRavia with that $5 million. Yeah, I don't know. They're going to do a lot of things with money. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about throughout the offseason with the cap situation and the money and what they should do with players and whatnot.